The Guardian now, and a climate protester has a rare encounter with the consequences of their actions, Leo.
Yeah, so a New Zealand climate activist who wrote to oil executives posing as a fossil fuel conference organiser and telling them that their gathering had been called off has been found guilty of forgery, because it wasn't called off. She was lying. She was pretending to be the person. And it says she could face up to a decade in prison. However, the sentencing hasn't happened. I mean, 10 years is the absolute maximum you can get for forgery. And I should imagine there are much more sort of malicious, damaging examples of forgery than faking a oil conference being cancelled. So she's not going. They're trying to hype it up into something it's not. She's called Rosemary Penn Warden, which sounds like a more authoritarian name than you'd expect. She's 64. She said it was a form of satirical protests and was astonished at the outcome. Yeah, imagine being astonished at the law being applied fairly to you, even though you think because you're middle class and a white woman, you're above the law, and you should be allowed to destroy people's lives and stop people getting oil that's delivered all this economic growth and living standards.
Never thought you'd go anti-white, but you got woman in there, so it's okay. I mean, basically, the problem was, I think, Cressida, she wasn't funny enough, because her thing was supposed to be a joke, right? And she's like, why was this taken seriously? Because she needed to punch it up a bit. Like, at the end, the only joke she's got in it, she basically says, look, we need to cancel this conference because of security, can't deal with the disruption. But in the end, she goes, but there is a silver lining to all this. We won't be there to listen to the incessant chanting. And she thinks that was the big joke that made it obviously false. But it's not a very good joke, is it? That could easily be real. What do you think?
It's not brilliant, although I do admire that she's calling it satire. It's almost like she's been listening to your podcast, you know, if in doubt...
Which one?
Well, indeed. If in doubt, if you've done anything that might be a little bit troublesome, it's satire. Well, I didn't know satire could cover forgery as well. I mean, fair play.
Yeah, and she tried to also back out using get out of it using her height. She said, I like to think I'm a threat to this industry. For goodness sake, I'm 5'3". Napoleon was 5'2", conquered half the world, didn't he? I've not read history, but he seemed to do quite well.
And also the countries in the West that climate activists target so much, it's Western countries are the only ones, the 10% in the world, that are actually going to hit climate targets. She wants to go to Russia. She wants to go and
China.
try and do this to Putin's state-owned oil companies.
Try and shut down the Chinese coal launch. They're one of their many. They open a coal plant like every few days. Like, try and go to the red ribbon opening of that. Go on.
Quite bold if she's watching, which she probably isn't. You know, who knows? Maybe she'll do something like that next. You might be giving her ideas.
She won't, because she'll be in prison.
Yeah. No, she won't be in prison, but she doesn't want to get beaten up by real police officers who don't care about climate activists.
Well, I don't approve of whatever you just said there, but let's stick with The Guardian.